Gillam's Camp, Tulelake, California. From April through June 1873, Army soldiers were stationed here during the Modoc War. From this command post, the U.S. Army directed part of a frustrating campaign against a small group of Modoc Indians. Determined to defend their homeland, the Modocs consistently outmaneuvered the Army, who at times outnumbered them 10 to 1. Just over 6 months of battles and surprise attacks, interspersed with long periods of waiting, resulted in a Modoc's defeat. Significant Modoc War sites are located and interpreted throughout the park. For 7 weeks in the spring of 1873, Gillam's Camp served as a temporary quarters for up to 600 troops. Many enlisted men were new recruits with little training. Isolation, poor food, and medical supplies, and the consistent threat of attack in an unfamiliar landscape made life here very difficult. Walk the easy guided trail around the area and discover why ancient Modoc, the Army, the Civilian Conservation Corps, and the National Park Service Rangers alike cherished its location on the shores of Old Tule Lake. You can also hike to the top of Gillam's Bluff, known as Sheepy Ridge, to the Modoc and the settlers. Along the route, the Army used to bring supplies to Gillam's Camp. The view from the top provides a great perspective of lava bed's volcanic landscape. Generations of Modoc once netted waterfowl here as they flew low over the ridge. And a fence still stands from the attempted reintroduction of bighorn sheep in the 1980s. You can also look down on Canby Cross, the site where Modoc War peace meeting ended in tragedy. Visit the cross at the next stop heading east.
Raise your hand if you've been to the lava beds before. Okay, just a few. Raise your hand if this is your first time to the lava beds. Wow. Raise your hand if you're excited to be at the lava beds. That was everybody. I like it. Awesome. So the lava beds, it's so awesome that we live where we live because we get to have such wonderful places to go and enjoy like the lava beds. And it was just a little bit of a drive for you guys, so hopefully maybe in the future after your lesson today, you could take your family back and you guys can enjoy the lava beds again. Quick question.
I was here like...
You were here really recently. Fantastic. So with that being said, guys, the lava beds has a lot of history that goes with it. Do you guys know what history is? Yes, ma'am. Something that happened a long time ago, something that happened in the past, something that we still pay attention to today and we really respect. Did you have a suggestion for what history was that you wanted to tell us? No, that was it? So right here, guys, if you guys could all imagine, thousands of years, hundreds of years ago, if you look out here, there would have been bunches and bunches of teepees because the Modoc tribe used to live here. And they used to be one with the land. They used to hunt and gather and fish, and they would build their teepees and their livelihoods out here, and they lived amongst the land.
About 150 years ago, the settlers came here. They arrived, they traveled westward from after they had colonized the east coast of the United States. They moved west, and they saw this land, and they saw this lake, and they thought to themselves, man, that lake bottom would make really good agriculture. We could grow a lot of food here if we could get that water out of here. And so they said, maybe we can come up with a way to get this water out and use this area for farmland. And then the Modoc people, they said, no, like this is our land, this is our home, we've been here for thousands of years, you can't take this from us, we're not gonna allow it. And so what do you guys think happened?
The Modoc War.
The Modoc War, did you guys talk about that at all, the lava beds?
Yes.
You did? Okay.
That's my favorite war.
That's your favorite war? Okay.
I don't like any war.
Okay, so you guys did get a chance to talk about that. So you guys know who won that war, right?
No.
No, you don't know who won that war? Okay, so the Modoc people were outnumbered about 10 to 1. The Modoc people ended up losing that war. As you can see, is evidenced by here. The settlers won. They did drain the lake. They did use it for farmland. They defeated the Modoc peoples, and they were able to use this area for farmland. Yes, Felicity?
Didn't someone named Jack surrender?
Yes, so Captain Jack was kind of the leader of the Modoc people in that battle, and he did end up surrendering because he saw all his people dying around him, and he knew that he didn't have a chance of winning, so he had to ultimately surrender. Yes,
And that
Aurelia.
didn't create for a very good
Yes.
relationship between the Modoc tribe and the white settlers. That created an instinct for the Modoc tribe to pick up their stuff, and they were going to head out to another reservation. They thought they would be welcomed on that reservation and that they could live there as well, and it turned out that they weren't as welcomed as they thought they were. So they came back to what they knew was familiar to them in the land that they loved, thinking that they could live here, and that created war. 5 cold, brutal months of war. Like the coldest months you can imagine, when there's snow and your hands turn purple from throwing snowballs. That's exactly what they lived in and fought in to keep their land and their livelihood here. So there was this entire war here. So we had a sergeant in the army who was Gillum, and we were here at Gillum's Bluff. And we walked Gillum's Trail, and it's a self-guided trail that you can always come back with your family and enjoy at any time, and it's about a half a mile long. Now every place that we're going to go and check out today has a historical fact to it, to somebody that fought in the war or to an area of the war. So we're going to be talking about that a lot throughout today's lesson. So after that, this place, after the war had ended because it just didn't work out very well, and the Indians, the Modoc tribe, thought that they could possibly leave and head out, they were going to go over to the Medicine Lake area where they thought they were safe. And do you guys know that it used to be Medicine Lake Volcano? That's what it was. It was a volcano that erupted, creating a divot that is now a lake. And they went up there because they thought it was a ground of healing. And that's why it was called Medicine Lake. It became very spiritual to them. And they thought that that would be the best place that they could make it to go and live. And they ended up not making it. And that created the land separation that we had between the Modoc and the white settlers. And after time, this land decided to drop, creating Sheepy's Ridge up there, and we had water throughout this entire basin. And if we all turn and look over here, you can see those, not to roll stuff in today, guys,